Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Runestorm Citadel. For those wondering why I haven't done any Hippoville episodes lately at all. Okay, Hippoville updated the map again, and updated to a more recent version of the Overloaded pack, which is actually version 1.6, which I think is actually kind of cool because, well, 1.6 does have some interesting stuff. Not very much, but still some. And it does have the latest version of Thaumcraft, which, yes, latest version of Thaumcraft. Who wouldn't love that? I have a problem. The version of Overload they are using uses the AT launcher, and I am one of the lucky people that get the error where it is constantly trying to extract configs and therefore is not able to make an instance using the mod pack. Hey boy. That means I am unable to actually play with the mod pack. Yeah, that is a slight problem. It's been about a week or something like that. I don't remember. There we go. I am just setting up for some more tree breeding. That actually looks very different from the one over there. Ooh, almost covered the hives. I don't think I'm going to be able to put this one here. There we go, there's another one. I will actually have to move these cherry ones around a bit. These things are huge! Hey, look at that! Yeah, we'll put the cherry ones somewhere else. Come on, grow. There you go. Looks like a cherry one should fit just fine right here. We are setting up to get the next level in this line of trees. That's quite fun. Oh, come on, just grow. There we go. That's not covered. Good. These almost are covered. Wow, the positioning on these was actually phenomenal. Okay. Get you grown. Space is a little bit cramped with these trees. Maybe I should have gone with only 4 of them, not 5. Oh well. It more or less fits just fine. And I guess that one will just sit there. Okay, let's get the bees going. So, want to take a guess how many cherries I got? I'll give you a hint. Almost every single leaf block was ripe. Of the 7 or 8 cherry trees I had planted. Yeah, I have a phenomenal amount of cherries now. And if I remember correctly, you can turn that into seed oil. So I'm thinking I should start getting ready to automate my bees. But I'm thinking of doing that in another episode. Not this one. This one, it's kind of a spontaneous, spur of the moment deal. So deal with it. There is no plan. No, but I did want to show what I'm doing with my Citadel. My Spire, basically. It is coming along pretty nicely. And I've decided to do sort of a reverse conical design. It's not really that drastic. It's a very gradual, slightly enlarging shape. It's sort of getting wider around here and then gets a little wider up to this point where it becomes as wide as it's going to get. and it's going to give me a lot more space to work with, even if I don't necessarily need a lot of space. I mean, a lot of what I'm doing is being kept in smaller buildings around the castle area. The spire is mainly just to exist. And I don't need a sorting system, which normally would require a building dedicated to itself, because I have the applied energistic system, which has basically an infinite amount of storage you can make for it, and an internal storage sorting system with a search bar. So that's fairly easy to take care of. I'll have a processing building over there on the north side of the castle grounds. That's going to be like a separate factory kind of design, just meant to grind up the ores and I don't know. I mean, the factory itself is sort of a processing system. Basically, I have two different processing systems. I have the factory, which grinds up the ores and turns them into crystals, and I think basically that is where the main smelting part's going to take place. And I'll probably put the smithy over in that corner. So I'll have to level that all out and get it cleaned up and able to support a moderately sized smithing area. Oh boy, why am I getting so much lag? It's very weird. Sudden lag. This side... Jeez, I'm down to 1 FPS and I don't have anything running. Perhaps, are you going to be temperamental just because I recorded an hour and a half of footage earlier? Yeah, I've already recorded a lot of stuff right now, and that might be the problem. I'll empty my recycling bin. Let me check. Alright, we'll see if that solved it. I doubt it will, because my Norton says Fraps is using high amount of disk space, and that's usually a sign that's Fraps acting up. Why do you keep doing this, Fraps? Anyway, what I was going to say is, over here, I think I'll dedicate to bees. Yeah, that might be the best area for them. Just for, breeding them and altering their genetics. I don't know what to do with the other parts of my castle, though. And the tower is sort of meant to be the mystical area where all the magic is done, so I don't need magic buildings. Let's see, what other things was I going to do? I have the barracks right there, which is actually a pretty small barracks, but I don't really care about the size of the barracks, to be completely honest. Perhaps if I made a training area? I don't know. It's tough decisions of what to actually put in. And I do want to make it sort of symmetrical, so it might just be that there's two separate barracks, one on each side. Yeah, I actually like that thought. Hey, spider. Oh, look at you. You got fall damage. You can't stop yourself from being hurt. Yeah, and I punched you in the face. Lovely. Oh, and where that center pillar is, I was thinking maybe a spiral staircase, but at the same time, I don't really want a spiral staircase. That'd be kind of bland and done and boring. I think instead I might... Jeez, come on, Fraps. I might just do like a hollow shaft that I can fly up and down. So it's a lot more secure in design, as only people that could get up and down would be mages. And since I'm the only mage in this world, that'd be me. And then up here, I want the tips to go higher. Kind of like hold your palm out and put your fingers pointing upwards. And keep your palm kind of cupped. I want it to be kind of like that. And then the tips will connect to a sort of hemisphere shape, which will definitely be interesting to try to build. I know that there's actually a block for that to help you build a hemisphere in the overload pack. I'm curious. Oh, hey, I am still on cheat mode. Oops. Recipe mode. It's a good thing I wasn't trying to do anything. Trying to look at any recipes, otherwise I would have been spawning in items. So I'm curious if that block is in this pack at all. I doubt it very much. Yes. Yeah, I doubt it very much, but if it does exist, yeah, it doesn't exist. If it did exist, that'd be pretty awesome, but obviously it doesn't. It was a torch surrounded by glass, and you can right-click on it and it'd show a series of shapes, like cylinder or cube or sphere or hemisphere and things like that. And that would have been really helpful to have. Shame it doesn't exist in this pack. Alright, the bees are going now. It's a wonderful stop-motion bee swarm. Let's get away from that. Maybe that's what's causing my lag right now. Which would be pretty odd because it's never caused that much lag before. Oh yes, I wanted to check my lemon tree to see if it's gotten any fruit yet. The lag! It's so bad! So how can you tell if a lemon's ready to be picked? Is it the darker ones? Come on, Fraps. Come on. Come on. Nothing from that one. Okay, so we'll let those continue to sit here then. Perhaps it takes a really, really long time for the lemon tree to produce any sort of fruit. Yeah, it must be those bees. We're doing pretty fine as we're farther away from them. It's very strange because it doesn't cause any sort of lag at all when I'm not recording. Peculiar. Ah. Bunch of stone in here ready to get turned into black stone. I like how this is coming out. This is one of the biggest builds I've done so far. And I love the shape I chose for this. You know, trying something a little bit different. And the color scheme is actually pretty fun. It's a bit done, honestly, the black and white color scheme, but it's just a good color match. And I can't blame people for using it a lot. So I might break away my recording here and keep on working on building things and get the wall done. That's the #1 thing I should be focusing on, but instead I'm building my tower. Can you blame me? The tower is fun. got a good shape. It's supposed to be where I'm living, but I've been not sleeping, so what's the point of having a bedroom if you don't sleep? I do need to finish my wheat field too. That's still exactly where I left it off when I did my last live stream. Now, speaking of live streams, I've been thinking maybe I should try live streaming Castle Story. It's a pretty fun, entertaining game. It's just, a little bit lonely. Your guys don't talk back very much. Of course, Minecraft's lonelier because no one talks back to you here. Still, you interact more in Minecraft than you do in Castle Story. Castle Story, you give orders and watch people do things as you sit there and listen to their noises. Minecraft, you are the one building things and making noises. Alright, and as Fraps is lagging out again, I will break away, and I'll see you guys when I get back, whenever that is. Alright, so I am back. My wall is not finished yet, and I said I was going to be working on finishing that. In fact, I have a load of stone that needs to get processed to keep doing that as we speak. But I was pondering my power setup. And, well, right now we have a small problem. This thing has actually emptied, which is somewhat alarming. Because it was doing fine before. Now it's empty, and I don't like it being empty. But, it's not entirely efficient, I guess, the way I have it set up right now. I have all these different energy cells outputting to the exact same pipe. Now, the thing about that is that it is only going to be drawing from one energy cell, as it's showing with this one. Every single energy cell besides that is just constantly full. It might drain a little bit, but then it starts draining from the center one again right away, and it just repeats. So I'm rethinking my power setup, and rather than do this entire square, I'm thinking it might be smarter for me to do it in sections. And the way it'll work is that, like, these will have 5 energy cells. They will then output into another energy cell. So they will be outputting a smaller amount of energy that is enough to keep the next energy cell in line completely filled. And same in, basically it's going to be the same in all the corners and the exact center. Now, the ones in the center areas here, where you can only have 4 energy cells going at once, well, I suppose I could still have those operational, but do I want to? I do not know at all if I want to have these ones involved or not. If I just want to knock these out and forget they existed. And it would give me a little bit more room for running around doing maintenance, I guess. We'll have to see how it plays out in the future. But if I were to do that, then I would have, at the very least, 5 different energy cells that are able to feed into something else. And if I wanted to, I could have them all feed into the same energy tesseract. There is a small problem with that. The energy tesseract has a maximum output that it can emit of, I believe, 100 MJ. So it's about the same as having an energy cell anyway. The only difference is that when it's transferring energy, it's at a 25% loss. So you might be putting 100 MJ through it, but you're only getting 75 MJ on the receiving end. Which, honestly, I find a bit annoying, but there has to be some sort of compensation for being able to transmit energy over an infinite distance. So, it's not that annoying. But perhaps I could use the 5 different energy cells to have 5 different power lines. Like, I have one power line that's dedicated simply for running the quarry, and that can be the main power line. Another power line dedicated to operating the field equipment out there. And another one dedicated to running my processing area. And then 2 more that I do not know yet. And that's probably the smartest idea for me to do. It's a lot of potatoes. Yeah, I ran out of room in this chest and was ending up wasting potatoes for absolutely no reason other than I was wasting potatoes. I really should get barrels in here, so that when the barrels are full, I can have it go to like a void pipe and everything's perfectly fine, or I can run it through a recycler. Which reminds me, recyclers run on EU, which is not my main power source. My main power source is MJ. I can create an energy bridge because we have that mod at power converters. Yes, we have the energy bridge, and that allows us to, oops, I am back on utility mode now. Sorry, I switched out to my test lab world and I was seeing exactly what is the most efficient energy setup using Tesseracts. And the most efficient setup is not using a Tesseract at all. Any setup you do using pipes or setting the Tesseract right next to one of these, it's always going to result in the same amount of energy loss. So I tried it with energy cell next to Tesseract, and then Tesseract next to energy cell on the receiving end. Test an energy cell piping energy through a Tesseract and having the Tesseract right next to an energy cell on the receiving end, and an energy cell through a pipe through the Tesseract and through a pipe on the other end and back to the energy cell. It all had the exact same amount of energy loss. So really it doesn't matter whether you're using the conduits or not in the equation. The conduits just allow you to get the power moved around over a greater distance, and allows multiple inputs to the Tesseract, and random talking, and I'm rambling. Sorry. Anyway, I was talking about these energy bridges. Now, the way I see it works is that the energy you want to convert into another one has to go through a consumer. So if I wanted to convert MJ to EU, I would have to build a BC consumer. And that will allow you to connect a conduit or energy pipe to it and use a Buildcraft powering device like an engine or energy cells, and it will suck up that power. Now, the next step, I believe, is that it needs to go through the energy bridge, which is honestly not that difficult to make. And that will do a conversion thing which allows it to go through, or to be outputted through a producer, which will generate the type of power that you want to be generated. So I can go from BC using the consumer to IC2 power using a producer. And there's multiple producers for IC2 because, you know, high voltage, low voltage, extra voltage. I don't know what EV stands for. And one thing I find interesting is that you can actually turn power into steam for railcraft. It's kind of interesting. There's also universal electricity and factorization. Wait, factorization? Really? Yeah, factorization. So the little setup I was doing over here, because I needed to have factorization energy in order to run the factorization equipment, isn't exactly needed. This entire thing that used up all my silver, I didn't need to make that. I could have just made a converter and I would have had it. So that's kind of irritating that I have spent this much silver and I could have just made a simple converter. Which, what's the producer? You just use a consumer and it turns into a producer, and a consumer is made with a solar boiler, except you can't make those, I think. Can you? Oh yeah, you can. The recipe is different on the main page, on the Feed the Beast page. It still shows the old factorization thing, which is what screwed me up. Alright, and in other news, I have managed to get 2 new tree types. Here we have chestnut, sweet chestnut, and here we have butternut. So that's pretty cool. I have 2 new tree types that give you fairly light colored wood. And that's basically chestnut's color. And butternut is a very delicious looking color. It makes me think of candy. So yeah, I have those now. And I believe that means I'm going to have to start working with the other tree types to get some more tree color for wood, which will be fun. And I guess the plus side of this, of going through this line of trees, is that I now should have plenty of seeds and nuts to produce lots of seed oil to make my bees automated. So that'll be good. And how's this doing anyway? Yeah, looks like it's still got room. Oops, and I made a button. Darn. I hate making buttons. So how is my wall doing anyway? Well, it's come along fairly nicely. It is time consuming. Very much so, especially when you need to start taking into consideration hills and excavating the ones inside the wall at the very least, so you can have a flatter build space later on. I've got to this point, which is going to be another tower, and then we're going to head that way for a ways. And I actually think that the rubber trees I planted are going to be inside the wall. I didn't actually think they would be. Although they might possibly be outside the west wall, or in the way of it anyway, as is my sugarcane farm. So those are going to have to be moved. Not that fun, but do what you have to do. Oh, and the bottom part of my tower has been mostly finished. I have a small hole in it, which I've been using to go in and out. I honestly should figure out a way for me to get into the basement, into the power lab part, without having to go through the side. Alright, well, I think I will break away for a while again and rejoin you guys closer to the end of the episode and recap everything I've done. So, see you then. Alright, I am back a bit earlier than expected. Mostly because, well, we already were at the 30-minute mark when I said I was going to be back at the end of the episode. And, well, to be fair, the end of the episode's whenever I decided to be, so it's going to be now. And I didn't really get much done in the meantime. I mainly just doing some measurements, excavating, things like that. And I've decided that this wall is actually probably going to be higher than the other wall because, well, this would be a lot of excavating to do. So I decided I should just build the wall up higher and go across, and when it starts to actually go down, I will start leveling it out myself. And I can rejoin at this big gaping line. Oh, there's actually a crevice down there. That's pretty cool. I should go down there at some point. See what I can get. The answer is things I'm already getting with the quarry. Oops, better land. I really need to remember to keep an eye on that gauge. I took the blaze spawner out of here because I'm going to be tearing this thing down. I will make a dedicated mob spawning area specifically for grinding mobs and getting loot. The X's on the ground is because I have F7 up, because I had a minor creeper explosion. And that's about it. So I'll see you guys next episode. Bye.